Winnie the Pooh can't wait for Christmas time to come around. We're talking Christmas at Pooh Corner. Hit it. It was 1983. Jell-O released a sugar-free Jell-O. Popped collars were in. McDonald's introduced the McNugget. And Eeyore saved Christmas in the 100-Acre Wood. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a Totally Rad Christmas all-star. You'll know him from Wizards, the podcast guide to comics. Remember That Show? Rental Return, Thrift Store Horde, and Wax Pack Flashback on the Retro Network. It's Adam Pope. Adam, how's it going?
Hey, Jerry. Thanks for podcasting with me.
I guess I should have said Shisham's greetings.
That's right. No, glad to be back. This is fun. It seems like forever since we talked Froom. So
it's yeah, I think that was back in like January or February. So it's been a while. It's been a minute. How are things going?
Oh, excellent. Yeah, just definitely staying busy on the mic, right? You mentioned Remember That Show? Start a new podcast? Why? Don't I have enough? Oh, so many interests, so many discussions to be had with like-minded people, you know?
Well, you're right about that. There's like, now I'm at the point where it's like, I want to talk about so many things, but I don't know how they fit in with the 80s or Christmas and or both. And so it's like, well, we'll call it a bonus episode. So yeah, I totally get it. Now, we're here to talk Winnie the Pooh and welcome to Pooh Corner. But before we do that, I want to do my brand new segment called Hit Me with the Toaster. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I want you to hit me with the first answer you can think of. Don't think too hard about it, okay? So question one, Eeyore is Scrooge. Recast the ghosts of Christmas with Tigger, Owl, and Rabbit.
Ooh, okay. Well, I don't know. I think just for his now I'm thinking about it. Okay, so I think I would do Rabbit as Christmas Past, just to kind of like take him through gently. I think I would do I think you have to have Tigger as like, just because he's more boisterous, right? So like kind of the Christmas present, and then Owl fitting in because even though he's always highfalutin, I think he could get ominous for Christmas future. You could be like, let me tell you this.
I feel like he would bore you instead of scare you straight. He would bore you straight. Yeah. Tales of his great aunt Mildred or whoever. No, I like that. That's good. All right. Okay. Question two. Who would wield the Infinity Gauntlet more successfully? Captain N or Mandrake the Magician?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I just dressed as Captain N at RetroCon. I was doing Captain N cosplay, but I think Mandrake is a little more wise than Kevin. So I pass it to Mandrake. He's dealing with the mystic arts anyway.
Right. And that's actually why I put Captain N in here. I saw those pictures. Okay. And finally, would you rather spend a day at Pooh Corner or Dumbo's Circus?
Oh man, this is a rough one. I think if I need a nap, it's Pooh's Corner, the 100-Acre Wood. But
right.
for fun times, you got to go to Dumbo's Circus. There's more of a show going on there, literally. So
exactly, yeah. That was actually kind of what I was thinking too. I'd probably go Dumbo's Circus just because it would entertain me more. But that's just a way for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better. So thank you. But today we're talking Welcome to Pooh Corner.
Winnie the Pooh can't wait for Christmas time to come around, with candy canes and toys and trains and snowflakes on the ground.
So what do you remember about the show? Like, what's your experience or your history with it?
Oh, I mean, this was very, very special to me because we never had a Disney Channel subscription. There wasn't anything like that, but I was always waiting for the cable preview weeks, and I couldn't wait to check out Welcome to Pooh Corner because I'm like, oh, it's back. Okay, I can watch it again.
Nice.
Because this show is my favorite adaptation of Winnie the Pooh. Like, I'm sure I had seen The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, the animated film, because I remember being amazed that they were all in live action, and I was like, what? Three-dimensional Pooh and all that. But yeah, don't think about that too hard. But it's definitely just like the most nostalgic version of Winnie the Pooh and all his friends I think of. So that was a big deal for me. But also like, and I know it kind of ran in reruns for a long time. I was probably watching like 1985, 86 until 89. Those were like the big years where I was super into it when it would come on those preview weeks or at a friend's house occasionally.
Right.
But yeah, so it's definitely the thing that always, this is kind of headcanon for me. I'm curious if you know if this is true or if you thought the same thing, but I always assumed the narrator was an older version of Christopher Robin. I don't know if it's ever set out right.
So no, it's never, as far as I know, it's never set out right either. I always thought that too. And then looking at him, I don't know anymore, but nowadays, of course, we got what's his name? Obi-Wan
Ewan
Kenobi.
McGregor, right?
Ewan McGregor. That's right. I couldn't think of his name. I was like, Obi-Wan.
I'm sorry, Anakin. For all of it.
Yeah, we got Ewan McGregor as Christopher Robin. So there's definitely some sort of cognitive dissonance in my own head. But I thought the same thing. I thought it was Christopher Robin telling his stories.
Yeah, so I remember it being very meta for me at the time because like, okay, he's got the characters, he's got puppets or whatever they are, these dolls on the shelf next to him all the time. And so I was just like, wait a minute, and he's got the storybook. And so all those things kind of, but here's the thing. I always thought, why did they have, at least for one episode, a child actor playing Christopher Robin just to connect it all to be like, oh, maybe the last episode, Christopher Robin comes in, now they have a new friend, that they're going to get to know, but now the series is over. So you just have to imagine it,
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't. It could be because they were all, like live action people. And so Christopher Robin would just be dwarfed by these toys that he's supposed to be.
That's a good point, because in the cartoon, he's taller.
He's taller. Right. So maybe it was a perspective thing. The other thing is maybe they just couldn't find the right child actor. I know when you hire child actors, you have to pay for tutors on set, and they can only work for like certain hours during the day. And so it's like, it gets quite expensive. So it could be also just a budgetary thing. I don't know, but I wanted Christopher Robin too,
Yeah, it only makes sense. I'm curious. This is my other headcanon thing I had to ask you
All right.
because I have to admit, I never knew like what Rabbit's deal was. Rabbit was always an androgynous character to me. I never knew if there was a gender. I was like, because I know I've gone back and they refer to Rabbit as he, so I see that. Right. But it always felt like Rabbit could have been a perpetually single older lady who never got married and liked gardening a whole lot. Like, because I had an aunt with kind of a lower register voice who never got married, and I could have made that connection.
I have an aunt like that too. Yep. Yeah. That's funny. No, I always just assumed Rabbit was like a real rabbit, right? Because isn't Rabbit and Owl actual real, while like the other animals are stuffed? Pooh's
I never even
teddy bear.
I never even thought that makes sense though. Yeah.
I mean, I just figured that because of the way they were drawn. Pooh's got the rounded paws, and he's more teddy bear like. Same thing with the Piglet, and but then Rabbit actually looks like the way Disney would draw rabbits, and so I don't know. That's what I thought. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my own headcanon there. No, so I actually am kind of similar to you. We did have Disney, and I remember watching this. However, I think this was my first exposure to Winnie the Pooh. And so I knew this one before I knew the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and some of the other little shorts that came later. So this to me is like Winnie the Pooh when I think of Winnie the Pooh. And his eyes are different. He's got the whites of his eyes, you can see, like the what is it, the irises, and you don't see that in the cartoon. There's a lot of other cool things, and it's just I connected it mentally with Winnie the Pooh. Every time someone says Winnie the Pooh, this is what I think of, which is not normal, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, definitely people think the animated movies like first.
Right.
first and foremost, especially since we haven't gotten a revival of Welcome to Pooh Corner, right? But we've gotten
Right.
plenty of like modern day, new 2D animated Pooh films, set in that universe. I think it's interesting too, like, and I don't know if this has something to do with it because it was so exclusive to the Disney Channel. And also, like, it got like several home video releases,
Right.
but like, I don't remember ever seeing those around. Like the library had a lot of Disney movies, but they didn't have those. But eventually I got this Too Smart for Strangers
Oh, nice. And that's actually online. You can find the whole thing online, which is very cool. That's how I saw it. I'd never seen it, but to own it, that's like a whole nother level.
Well, it was crazy because I went to an antique store and the lady that was running it was a very like casual affair. She's like, "Oh yeah, that's my copy I showed to my kids in the 80s." And so
Oh,
now
wow.
I've showed it to all three of my children each time when they turn 4. That's about when I figure they need to know about Stranger
Right.
Danger,
Stranger
So they
danger.
watch
Yep.
Pooh and Piglet explain the whole deal. So it's pretty funny coming out of their mouths.
But also, like, it makes sure that the kids are interested in it, so it works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
They learn their manners, or they learn, stranger danger. That's cool. No, I remember that. I know that I've read that there were home releases. They don't have the whole series released. It's just a few episodes, and so online you can find several episodes, but that's about it. There's another Christmas episode that's lost.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a whole nother Christmas episode, and it's like Christmas is for sharing or something like that. They had a few actual holiday specials as well, besides the regular run. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, you just can't find it anywhere. It's never been re-released. It's never been remastered. The copy that we saw, someone tried his best to mess with the audio and make it smooth, and it actually came out pretty decently, I thought.
Yeah, it's a nice presentation as best as you could do for a 40-year-old show. Yeah.
Exactly. So I can't complain. I recently watched that kid video Christmas special that was done, and because that was recently found and aired online. It's terrible sound quality. I'm trying to grab clips from it, and I'm like doing everything I can to make it sound decent, and it's rough. So I probably might not include clips in that episode. I don't know, but it is what it is. But here, this is like good quality, and I was very surprised that someone actually took the time and care to do what they could with this, because a lot of the stuff that gets just transferred from home videos, or it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, it just got a high-pitched whine.
Exactly.
Throughout the whole thing, you're like, ah.
Yeah, or you could see where like the tape kind of, skips a little bit and then it stops. Yeah, but no, this was really well done. So Pooh Corner, it actually aired April 18th, 1983, and original run all the way through May 30th, 1986. And then, of course, through it was in reruns for a while. What I did like, something that I didn't remember, was that it was all the animatronic costumes were done by the guy that did Teddy Ruxpin.
Hi, my name is Teddy Ruxpin. Can you and I be friends? Yeah. I really enjoy talking to people.
Yeah, super cool, super awesome. And especially because I've had a Teddy Ruxpin weekend. I've finally introduced my kids to it again, to where they care about it. So they've been going to sleep the last few nights with Teddy Ruxpin telling them the stories, like the younger one first, and then my 8-year-old after that, because I got a bunch of tapes and books at RetroCon when I was there this last weekend. So I was just so excited to like bring it home to them. They're like, "Oh, we love Teddy." And we actually have the animated series on DVD.
Oh,
so
nice.
they've been watching that in the car. So it's all Teddy Ruxpin all the time right now. So that was a super cool fun fact.
We actually just bought the animated series as well. So we haven't watched it yet, but it's sitting on my shelf right now, just waiting for us to dig into it. But yeah, it's I thought the costumes were really well done. The eyes blink, you can see their eyebrows go up and down, the mouths kind of move. It was
well, I'm gonna say it's not creepy. It's not the thing you go back and say, "Oh," you're like, actually,
that's right. Yeah,
functional. It gets the job done, especially because I used to be a costumed character at the Disney parks.
Oh, wow.
So to see like, wow, we could have had that. Why couldn't they give us animatronic heads? I know they tried it recently, and it was that was more creepy, seeing Mickey's mouth move and stuff. But back then, just the simple stuff, I don't know. Anyway, so it's really watching it from that perspective now, having actually been the characters in the costume, is a whole mind trip in itself.
Can I ask who you played?
Yes, so I was all the tall characters, so I was what you call a goofy height, and
Okay.
so I was able to dress as Goofy and like Baloo the bear, the genie, Woody from Toy Story, Captain Hook occasionally. Actually,
Nice.
Queen of Hearts was my favorite. I love playing the Queen of Hearts.
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. But yeah, but I was too tall. All the Pooh characters were shorter,
Right.
so I never got to play anybody.
Right.
Maybe Tigger. No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So
I mean that makes sense because they're like we said, they're supposed to be stuffed animals. It's Christopher Robin. I guess his imagination. I don't know. I don't really know how it all works with Pooh Bear. It's just a story. I don't know if it's him thinking about it or if they really do come alive. Whatever it is, yeah, I guess they're supposed to be smaller, so that makes sense. I'd be kind of bummed, I think, if I couldn't have played Pooh, but at least you got to play Goofy. That's a huge that's a
it was
huge
pretty
get right there.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I will mention, I was going to save it for the plugs, but I did do a full podcast with my best friend who worked there with me. So we did like a 12-part series talking about all the adventures of getting hired, all the experiences being the first characters to work at California Adventure and all these other
Oh,
things.
nice.
So if anybody's curious, it's called the Two Goofs podcast. So you can go seek that out. It's on YouTube and your podcatchers. So
Right on. The two goofs. That's very cool. Like you said, never enough time to be on the mic, I guess.
nope.
But yeah, so reruns of the show aired all the way through 97. Hal Smith is one of the few that actually returned, or actually he's the only one that really returned from the beginning. Hal Smith famously played Owl. That's how I knew him. He was Otis the drunk on I don't know if I'm allowed to say drunk, but Otis the intoxicated person and in Andy Griffith's show. So everybody knows Hal Smith. And he actually voiced Pooh here.
Oh, at last! I thought it would never come. Oh, but finally it's Christmas time.
So I remember, like, these are my Pooh Bear voices, because this is my first experience with it. So when my daughter got super into Winnie the Pooh when she was about 1.5, and she stayed really into Pooh till about 4 or 5. And I remember watching Winnie the Pooh all the time. Of course, I'm used to Jim Cummings. I'm used to the original Pooh Bear, but I had forgotten that this was like my Pooh Bear voice. So when I heard it again, I was like, that's what Pooh Bear's supposed to sound like. Like, what are these other guys doing?
Yeah, 100%. I was like, wait, is that Jim Cummings? Then I was like, no, he does have a very distinct take on Pooh, but that because I feel like Jim Cummings is
Yeah.
the one I remember the best, but then yeah, going back, you're like, oh, all the voices on the show are so comforting. The whole show itself is so
agree.
relaxing.
I agree. And it's pretty low key. The stakes are high, but not like super high. It's like just mid-level stakes. But the whole atmosphere, also, especially in this episode we're talking about, was very, very Christmassy, and the whole thing just read like comfort and warmth and joy, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing I want to mention is, they did for this special, obviously, they did all original songs, the new Christmas theme song, all of that. But the regular Welcome to Pooh Corner theme, it always sounded to me like it was the same choral group that sang the Small Wonder theme song.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Play them back to back. It sounds so similar. It's just that era.
It could be. And a lot of those folks are like nameless folks that nobody knows anymore. They were just hired singers that they formed together a group, and then they would come and go as as times demanded. And so I would love to know how many of them actually stayed on, because I believe that it could be the exact same group for all these.
Yeah, I mean, you never know who's getting passed around. Hey, yeah, go over here, go over here. Now,
Right.
you mentioned Dumbo's Circus at the top, and I don't know if you're planning to talk about it. And just very briefly, theme song comparison. I mean, Dumbo Circus, that was the banger, right? Like that was like
Right,
Welcome to Pooh Corner. Yeah, again, it's just laid back, but you get like Dumbo Circus. So you can see like a lounge singer really going at it. And the thing about it, though, the reason I prefer Welcome to Pooh Corner to Dumbo's Circus is only because Dumbo Circus, you only got Dumbo.
Yeah.
You didn't get any of the other characters. And so, like, these new guys like Fair Dinkum. What does that even mean? The koala ringmaster, QT, the orangutan, like they felt like they belonged at Chuck E. Cheese,
Right. Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho! Chuck E. Cheese here with Christmas presents.
But Welcome to Pooh Corner, it's all the iconic characters. And even if, like you said, it's your first introduction, like you immediately feel that. You're like, oh, they're so distinct. You know who they
Right.
are, who they should be. So
Right. Yeah, and apparently so I actually just talked about the Halloween episode of Dumbo Circus with Mike
oh,
Westfall. So we were all talking about that. Fair dinkum apparently is like some sort of Australian phrase or something that
okay.
it's a play on that. I don't know, but I still don't know what it means. So yeah, I think we're okay. There apparently is a Dumbo Circus Christmas episode that is lost. So
Oh,
somewhere someone has it somewhere. Upload it to YouTube, please, so I can so I can find it. But in the meantime, yeah, I'll enjoy Welcome to Pooh Corner. Now I'm with you. I actually preferred this one because you're right. We only got Dumbo over there. There's no Timothy. There's nobody else. They were just all brand new characters. And here we have everybody that you know and love. So Pooh, of course, always my favorite. Tigger was probably right there with him because he's just fun, and everybody else they're have their own personalities, and I love it too. They know exactly where they're supposed to be and they fit. Although I think Rabbit was like super into magic or something, if I recall, in this one.
yeah, like would wear the cape and the top hat and did a whole song. Yeah, it was
Right.
crazy. I remember that one distinctly. But I always loved Owl just because of
Yeah.
his gimmick of, well, as my uncle Alfred always used to say,
That's
and
right.
his long, spiel, it cracked me up as a kid.
Yeah, Owl's just great, and Hal Smith, he's nailed it, and he's so iconic as Owl that when you hear someone else, it's a little jarring, and
Yeah, well,
yeah,
and it was
it's hard to get
crazy
past.
because I had a friend who was like a child actor back in the day, growing up in California. Everybody's
Nice.
doing stuff. But he got cast in a stage production of, some Winnie the Pooh play, and he played Owl. And the whole time I'm just thinking, oh, you gotta be like the Welcome to Pooh Corner Owl. Come on, you gotta play it
That's
up a little
right.
bit. He did a great job though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there. Right on. He did a great job, guys. Yeah, if you're listening out there. No, but I hear you. So, yeah, this was live action. It was the only live action Winnie the Pooh up until the Ewan McGregor movie that we got recently.
Or the horror movie we just got,
Well,
Blood and Honey.
I haven't seen that one yet. I want to, but at the same time, it's like, do I really want to? I don't know
Yeah.
yet. I'm still trying to decide. But this particular iteration doesn't start with the Welcome to Pooh Corner theme song.
Welcome to you.
And how do you do? Everybody's waiting here at Pooh Corner, waiting for you and Winnie the Pooh to have a happy Oopty-Poo time.
Which was just the Winnie the Pooh theme song with altered words. This one actually starts it's with its own theme song called Winnie the Pooh Can't Wait for Christmas. And that's the actual name of the song, which I thought was funny. Written by Steve Gillette and written specifically for this episode. But it's nice. We get Pooh, he's got this beautiful wreath. The whole his whole pad is like decked out in Christmas stuff. It sets the mood immediately. And I know that, of course, a lot of this was done with blue screen, and then they would just import the background later on. But it felt like he was there, and it felt nice and cozy. And
That's the thing, right? Because like you have the Christmassy set decoration, and some of the sets really felt like, okay, they put all the furniture there, they put all
right,
like the presents and stuff in the foreground, and you're like, oh, okay. But then later on in the episode, like whether it's Piglet or Pooh's house, like when their doors open, it's like they're on a set that's a miniature.
right.
That's what they're blue screened onto, because like the doors open automatically when they just put their hand near it. It's like motion sensor. You're like, oh,
Nobody
so
knew
cool.
that Pooh was force sensitive.
Yeah.
That's that would be awesome. Now I just want to see like Winnie the Pooh as a Jedi, just
Okay, let me tell you this then, because when you're talking about like these lost episodes, I was like, do I know anybody at Disney that could find him somehow? But back in the day, in the character department, every year they would do a special production, especially like the 80s and early 90s. And they did one in like after the prequels had come out, where it was Mickey as a Jedi. And Mickey
Nice.
had a lightsaber that was all like computer animated in, and he's chopping up all these other characters that were coming in as like evil members of the Empire. Like it was wild, but these were like only for characters, right? Like it was unauthorized, and you could only see him if you knew the right person that had a copy in the department. And but that's what it reminded me of. I'm sure there were some Pooh characters in there at some point.
I bet if I scour, I probably could find one somewhere, but
On
that's
the black
awesome.
web,
That's
in the
nice.
black cauldron on the web. Yeah.
The Black Cauldron. That's a whole other one. That's I need to do a Halloween episode on that one because that Horned King was something else. But yeah, so it starts off with the song. Who's decorating? His house is all full of red and green, and he actually puts out honey in a big jar, a little honey pot on his favorite plate, and he puts that out for Santa. But he puts it out very early because his cuckoo clock just reminds him that Christmas time is coming. It's not here yet, it's coming. So yeah, that I don't know how long that honey was sitting out without a lid.
Did you just call it a Pooh clock?
Cuckoo clock, yes.
Yeah, with the Pooh Bear, but this time now he's the Santa Pooh.
He's a Santa Pooh, and that's how he
Not
knows
Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh. Santa Pooh.
I mean, it feels like that could fit in.
Yeah.
But yeah, his Pooh clock is I think what it's called. If I think I heard that correctly.
Even if it's not, that's the perfect name.
That's what it's yeah.
But they give like full close-ups on it. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. He's got a little beard and his
I
red
want
hat.
one. Like I want one so bad. Yeah. So we cut to the narrator, Laurie Main, who is known mostly for this. Actually, he's been in a lot of other things, a lot of TV shows, and he did some stage work. But I think his most famous role is as the narrator of Winnie the Pooh, which I kind of dig.
Yeah. That's the thing is like when I saw him, I was like, do I know him from something like as an older person going back? I'm like, where have I seen him? Where have I seen him? But I think there were a lot of kind of like older balding British actors at that time where it was kind of like it could have been any of them, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I know he was in The Great Mouse Detective. I think he played what's the name of the Dr. Watson, I think. I kind of like that. That's just pretty neat to be able to say, yeah, I was in The Great Mouse Detective. I mean, I would be saying that like all the time. You know,
me and Vincent Price. I was in good company.
Exactly. Oh yeah, Vincent. I knew him well. You know, but yeah. So we get Laurie Main. He's trimming the tree, and he kind of sets up the scene for us and what's going on.
Our friend Winnie the Pooh loves Christmas too. In fact, each year, he just can't wait until Christmas comes. But there was a time when our gloomy friend Eeyore didn't look forward to Christmas at all, until one year, something very special happened to change his mind. I'd like to tell you about that Christmas. Let's pretend we're at Pooh's house on a wintry afternoon as Christmas is approaching.
And this is that story. Boom, now we're in. I'm in. Let's go for it, you know. But I always loved how he set it up. He would just cut in just at the right time to say just a little bit, and sometimes we'd see him, sometimes we just hear his voiceover, you know, the ADR, and that's all you needed, I thought. And here he has the nice festive sweater with the collar, and he's trimming his tree. It's got the popcorn garland, and it just looks so 80s, but like everything like I remember my tree being when I was little.
Yeah, it's the coziest living room, you know. It's just the place you would hope to be on Christmas. It's like, you know, it's your uncle's house or whatever. The family's gathering over there, like because yeah, he is so just kind and welcoming, you know. And I would hate to hear any behind the scenes stories that tell me otherwise. I will not believe it.
No. Please redirect all those letters away from us.
That's right.
Yeah. So his cuckoo clock goes off. It reminds him that it's time for Christmas or Christmas is coming near. And so he goes to tell everybody. He's like so stoked, like Christmas is almost here, which makes me, you know, say, you know, like guys, just get a calendar. But you know, you don't use calendars in Pooh Corner.
Pooh is the town crier of Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah. 12 o'clock and all's well. So he goes to Owl. Owl says season's greetings, and this is where we get our first Shisham's greetings from Pooh Bear, which
Shisham's greetings to you too, Owl.
I had to ask about that because this Shisham's greetings, you know, it's repeated throughout. Is Pooh like, was that part of him like having like, I don't want to say a speech impediment, but misunderstanding words like a child would? Like, am I forgetting that from other productions?
No, I mean, I think that did happen quite a bit.
I mean, heffalumps,
right, of course,
elephants, right?
Right,
so,
and woozles, weasels.
Yeah.
But But like when Christopher Robin would say, you're what is it? You're stronger than you seem, you're braver than you, or you're smarter than you think. And Pooh would say something like, "You're smarter when you're pink." So he would often switch words, and it's because he's supposed to be a bear of very little brain. So I think that's why. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Because like it felt to me like the one time I'm like, what? Because he doesn't do it in any other thing in the
Right.
episode.
Right.
So,
I think he says it like one other time, but Shisham's greetings is his thing. So Owl knows that it's Christmas time, and so Pooh, continuing on his journey to just tell everybody about Christmas, he goes to Eeyore next, and Eeyore, in typical Eeyore fashion, is just not in the Christmas spirit. But I think he asks him something like, "Aren't you catching the Christmas spirit?" And Eeyore, and I think one of my favorite line of the whole thing says,
No, but I might be catching a cold. Maybe something worse.
that's like a joke you'd make at like a cigar club or something,
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's funny. That's funny, kid.
Except that it's just awkward when it's Eeyore because you're like, oh, he didn't make a joke.
He wasn't
just,
back.
Yeah, he's
Exactly.
being serious. You're like, oh,
That's right.
why are you laughing? Sorry, Eeyore. Sorry, buddy.
I love Eeyore. I cannot do his voice to save my life. It's so bassy, even a baritone could do it, but I'm such a tenor that I just can't. I can't get that low. I mean, it's just without straining so hard. It's
Oh,
but Eeyore's just so fun. He's so bummed because his friends made him these beautiful Christmas cards, especially Rue. And when he tries to do it, they all look like Rorschach tests. So
well, and I love that he has them all up on the wall of his little triangle house that he lives in. But like
He
when
does.
you open the door, all the cards are there. So I mean, he loves all his friends so much. He's so happy to get those.
But then he also has all his up as well
Yeah.
on the inside. And it's just, yeah, he tried his best, but I feel like any psychiatrist could just take one of those and say, okay, now what do you see? Oh, poor Eeyore. So he and Pooh, they decide to visit Rabbit, and Rabbit and Piglet are together because that he's like, come with me to go spread the word. And so they let them know that it's almost Christmas. And this is where Pooh tries to convince Eeyore to help Rue out by dipping some, what is it, popcorn balls in honey?
Dipping popcorn balls in honey and putting them on the tree. That was the next step they explained that was going to be after. I'm like, who does this? This just concerned me to know. And you're not gonna have any tinsel on your tree. You're just gonna have like fly paper, like flies like trickling down in the honey, going down to every tier of the tree. I was just like, this is a terrible idea.
You're gonna have ants, is what you're gonna have.
Yeah.
This poor guys. I don't know how big the pest problem is in Pooh Corner, but I feel like that's just asking for it.
Yeah, I was just like, but I apologize if that is a tradition in
It's not
some
one that I know,
country
yeah.
in the old days. I've just never heard of popcorn balls and honey because it definitely sounds like a Pooh idea. Like
Right.
Pooh says, yeah, let's get more honey around here, and when we're all done, I get to lick the bowl, like,
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Oh goodness. So Eeyore tries his best to do this. He's holding the spoon in his mouth. He's got the popcorn ball in the spoon. It's like when you do those egg races,
Yeah.
on field day, and you got to balance the egg on your spoon as you're like running. That's kind of what it feels like. And Eeyore, it seems like he has it. And then it's suddenly the actor remembered, oh, I'm supposed to be terrible at this. And then he drops it.
Yeah, like I was pretty impressed, and I assume that's like the actor putting their hand up in the mouth for that one. They're not actually putting it in their own mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that's got to be how that works because they don't show the bottom half of his body in that shot.
Right.
So it's got to be like a hand working it, But I was just like, it is pretty impressive. And then like they ask him, "How's it going?" And that's he drops it. You're just
That's
like,
right.
oh no, don't ask him questions.
I mean, these guys, they're not the sharpest pencils in the box here, but they try their best.
Oh, not so good. I think I'd better leave the Christmas decorating to you.
So he drops it. And now at this point, Eeyore is just like so miserable because everything he tries, he fails at least in his mind. And so this is just adding fuel to the fire. And I feel so bad for Eeyore at this point. I always felt bad for Eeyore, but this especially now is just like, this guy can't catch a break.
And especially since he's so good-hearted, he's not making himself the victim. He's like, I just want to do something nice for my friends, and every time I try to help them with a project for Christmas, I fail. And you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, this poor guy.
I know. You're like, oof, that got me right in the heart. So we cut back to the narrator who just gives us a little more setup here.
Poor Eeyore. He wanted to join in the holiday fun and do something special to share with his friends. But nothing turned out right. Still, there was plenty of time before Christmas for Eeyore to find something special to do. Meanwhile, Tigger and Roo were having lots of Christmas fun singing carols for all their friends at Pooh Corner.
And we cut to Tigger and Roo, and they are caroling. They're singing Deck the Hall, or Deck the Halls, however you want to say it. I always said Deck the Halls. I've recently learned it's actually just Deck the Hall.
Single. Okay.
But yeah, exactly. But whatever. Either way, they're singing it, and they run into Eeyore, and so they invite him to come along and carol with them, as any good carolers would. The more, the merrier. Did you ever go Christmas caroling?
I don't think I have. I mean, I did a lot of singing as a kid. I was in choirs and stuff, but that was just not something my family ever did. But I've had plenty of carolers, come to all the houses I've lived at in my life. So
Right on. Yeah, that's cool. That was like, so Christmas caroling is like our family's big tradition. So we always go, usually on the 23rd, we'll go down the neighborhoods, and then we'll drive to like a few friends and family houses. And but that was like always our thing. So whenever I see Christmas caroling, it's like, oh, we need to bring that back. That's like such a huge thing that nobody really does anymore.
yeah, you got to have a real tight knit neighborhood, where everybody knows,
Exactly.
like, who's out there? Oh, it's Sherry and the family. Okay.
Oh, it's just those weird Davilas again. All right, I guess we'll invite them in. So yeah, so they go to Piglet's house and they're singing.
Troll the ancient Yuletide carol. Fa la 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 la.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
And they end, the song, and poor Eeyore says, "And a partridge in a pear tree," which I thought was perfect. It fit in. It made it like a medley, but everyone else is just so down on him. They're like, "I don't think that's the right song, man. What are you doing?" I felt so bad for him
He's
again.
in the right spirit.
Exactly, guys. It's called a medley, But yeah, I think Piglet even says, "Gee, I never heard that version before." So Eeyore splits, and Tigger, as he's leaving, he invites him to the tree trimming party. It's like this grand tree trimming party that they're having the next day. He really wants Eeyore to be there. Eeyore just stumbles off and is like,
Ho, ho, ho.
in his deep, depressed voice. And I love it. I want that as my ringtone. So cut to the narrator inviting everybody back.
All over the 100-acre wood, the friends were preparing for the big tree trimming party at Kanga's house. Except for Eeyore, he was still trying to think of something he could share.
And it's saying that, they're getting ready for their tree trimming party, and we see Pooh with his things and Piglet with his items, and everybody's gathering around. And we get our second original song. It's Christmas Together. This one written by Phil Barron, who wrote a lot of the other music for the show as well.
We decorate the Christmas tree this time every year. We sing along in harmony, glad that we are here.
Pretty things to hang upon the tree.
Christmas together round the Christmas tree.
Yeah, I really like this song. I think this might be my favorite.
I think you're right. Yeah, I
yeah.
think I'd have to agree.
It's pretty fantastic. Now, the one thing I want to say here, because Kanga and Roo are there,
Right.
and everybody is there helping out. And Kanga, do I have it right in this scene? Like, because I think this one, and at the end, she's got like a hood up. Like,
Yes.
she's got a Red Riding Hood and cape thing on. And this is where I realized, not to get too crazy, but Kanga, of all the characters, has like actual human woman proportions, and
Right.
she's basically naked, but she's got this hood with this cloak thing on. And like later on, they put an apron on her to cover it, but it's still like I feel like between Kanga on this show and Lily, the feline trapeze artist on Dumbo Circus, there's a lot of furry enthusiast awakening resulted from this show. You
That's
know?
I don't know. It must have been the 80s because Chitara, remember that in the first
Yep.
in the first episode of Thundercats, that too. And then what's the is it Cleo from
Oh
Heathcliff
yeah,
as
the
well?
Cadillac Cats. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Cleo.
So I don't know. This must have been a thing. But yeah, you're right. She's got like the Red Riding Hood, but it's trimmed in like the white fur. It's
Mhm.
really Christmassy looking. I dug it a lot. And
Yeah.
Rue kind of has a matching hood to go along with his red shirt, which was also jarring because Rue usually wears blue, but here it was red, and it was like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right.
It's kind of like when you would see the bootleg Bart Simpson t-shirts and it would change like
Yeah.
he has an orange shirt. No, Bart wears a blue shirt,
That's
or
right.
whatever. Like it always seemed to be changing in the early days of the show. And speaking of Rue, though, the one fun fact that I found out that I didn't remember was that initially Rue was like a full animatronic puppet, like a Teddy Ruxpin, I guess in the early seasons.
I
And
think
then
so,
later on, they
yeah.
brought a little person actor to actually, move around and walk around with the characters. I was like, oh, that's cool. Because later on, at a certain point in this montage, they're lifting up like a Rue doll. Like
Right.
there's no it's very
Right.
stiff and it's like holding an ornament. You're like, oh, that changed.
It's probably easier than lifting up the whole person in there because
Yeah.
this must have been, I mean, it's from 83, so it's that first season, but it must have been enough episodes in that they went to that person inside the costume because a lot of the times he was someone in there.
Mhm.
But yeah, I did notice that too, and it was a funny little detail that I picked up. So yeah, we sing Christmas together. They're decorating the tree. They're decorating it outside. So this must be like the 100-acre woods tree, like in a town square or something you'd get in like a Hallmark movie, except this is theirs. It's outside of Kenga and Rue's house. And same thing, they decorate it just so amazingly. It's really nostalgic. There's popcorn garland. I think Piglet had some paper garland that he made. There's ornaments. And they put the star on top. It just was really well done, and I really appreciated that tree.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. And as somebody who just had to trim our giant pine tree in our front yard, like I'm just like, okay, I'm glad they're able to keep it intact. It's not blocking anybody's view. It's not a
That's
safety
right.
hazard. They can save it for Christmas. That's awesome.
Right on. Yeah, I don't think they have an HOA to worry about in the Pooh Corner. Uh, but Pooh's a little bummed because it doesn't feel right. It's missing something because Eeyore's not there, and so he sits down on like this big hill, this pile of snow, and he's talking. And as he's talking, you hear Eeyore's voice responding to him.
Yeah,
And
and I thought I'm like Eeyore's in the tree.
that's what
Eeyore was
I
in
thought. Yeah,
and they're trimming the Eeyore tree,
exactly
right?
what I
That's the
thought. Yeah.
gag?
That's exactly what I thought too. I was like, any minute his head's gonna pop out and everyone's gonna say Eeyore. But no, instead it turns out Pooh was sitting on him and he was hiding because he didn't bring anything because he didn't know what to bring.
And that's just hilarious. It's just like, oh, I didn't see you there when I sat on you. It's like the ultimate ignoring your friend, but he was covered in snow.
He was trying to hide. So I will give it a pass. But I just love how you just see his head just kind of pop up like right behind Pooh. It's almost horror movie-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eeyore was hiding. Kangas says something to the effect of just being together with ones you love is what makes Christmas special. And we finished the tree trimming song, which I agree was probably the best of the three. Yeah, there's just pretty things that they hung on their tree, Christmas together around the Christmas tree, kind of a vibe, and it's cozy and inviting. So much so that Kanga invites them all in for hot chocolate. And I kind of want to taste what Kanga's hot chocolate is like,
I think it's going to have some Vegemite in there because technically, she's Australian.
She has to be, yeah. I don't know how I feel about Vegemite hot chocolate. So it starts snowing harder. Everybody's back at their own. Everybody's back at their own place. Eeyore's still trying to think of something to share with everybody. But this is where, as everybody's getting ready, they realize the snow is coming down so hard. They have no way of actually going to their big Christmas Eve party. And I mean, Rabbit, I liked it. He was in his little Victorian garb. He had the vest, he had the top hat and the scarf, and he opens the door and it's just full of snow, which as someone from South Texas, I've never experienced, like not even a little bit. We maybe get an inch of snow every like 10 to 20 years. So that's not something that I'm used to.
Yeah, I mean that's new to me. I grew up in Southern California, then lived for a
Mhm.
decade in Arizona, but now I have moved to Montana, and snow is my life half the year, and it's a real deal. I will tell you, you will get stuck. So
Oof. Yeah. So Rabbit's stuck. Pooh is all dressed up as Santa, which I wish I want a doll of this Pooh as Santa because my daughter has one of Pooh Bear as Santa, but it's the traditional one with the little beady black eyes. I like this Pooh Bear because this is, like I said, my first experience with it. So I want to see like the full iris Pooh and everything. I would like a doll of that just sitting somewhere on my nightstand, you know.
I mean, I just feel like there's got to be an Etsy seller who's making this version of the characters, right? Come
Probably.
on,
Yeah, there has
somewhere.
to be. And if not, come on, guys, get it started. I'll buy one from you.
Yeah.
Piglet, who's dressed in green, but with red stripes, I noticed as well. So was he in green all the time on this show, or did he also have I think he was mostly in the pink one, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, like the pink red with the black stripes. Yeah, just
Right,
like traditional look. Yeah.
right. Well, in this one, he's green and he's got like red stripes on it. He also is stuck. He starts yelling for help. Owl at this point is the only one that can get away because, of course, he lives in that treehouse. He can fly above the snow. It's no big deal for him, but he realizes
It's a good thing I can fly over this snow. Wait, my friends can't fly. What will they do?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out because when Owl came out, it didn't seem like there was a lot of snow, just a little bit at the base of his house. Because
right.
that means it was piled all the way up the
All the
tree
way to
of
the
his
top.
house.
Right. That's a lot of snow. I think he even says something like, I love White Christmas, but this is too much.
Yeah.
Where's Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye when you need him? Yeah. So Tigger, Roo, and Kanga at this point are worried because their friends haven't showed up. Roo is worried about Santa. How is Santa going to reach him? And that's his big concern, which as a kid, that would have been my big concern too. So I get it.
I think it's so interesting that Santa is part of their universe, like,
Mhm.
so that is something they look forward to. Santa brings the presents because it's like, again, we haven't seen Christopher Robin. Did they know about humans? Like that's never mentioned. So then there's this creature in the sky that flies through and he's riding some animals, but we're animals. Got them pulling a sleigh working for him. But I don't know. I guess later on in the story, we get that. So
Existential crisis goes around. Yeah. I mean, I just assumed that this was all their adventures that happened while Christopher Robin was away at school.
yeah.
So I assumed he talked to them about Santa, and that's how they know
But he
about
doesn't
him.
visit for Christmas. Come on, Christopher Robin.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Get it together, guy. Yeah, poor Christopher Robin. I mean, you think he'd at least show up a little bit, but oh well. Yeah. So Owl flies to Pooh Bear. He sees that he's snowbound. He flies to Rabbit and Piglet, and they're trapped too. Finally, he gets to Eeyore, and he notices that the snow hasn't quite piled up in Eeyore's place, his gloomy place, as it has everywhere else. And so he enlists Eeyore to help him save Christmas, essentially. But he has no idea how he's going to do it.
That's why it's up to us to rescue them and save Christmas.
Okie dokie, we'll do it. How will we do it, Owl?
Eeyore, that's why I need your help. I don't know how we'll do it.
But Eeyore has an idea. He spots his old swing that they made for him because he couldn't use a regular swing. And it's like this big boxy kind of contraption. And it looks like it's a sleigh. For those of you that haven't put two and two together, yes, Eeyore does strap himself to the sleigh and he does actually turn it into a sleigh.
Now, the one thing I had a question about, again, I haven't watched every episode that's uploaded. Maybe this was a lost one, but he says specifically first, like, my swing, and then I was like, this is hardly the time, to play, I think,
I
He's like,
love
no.
Owl.
And he talks about like the one that his friends made it
Made
for
it
him
for him,
because he
yeah.
couldn't fit in a regular one. Now, is that from the animated movie or was that from an episode of Welcome to Pooh Corner?
So I
Or
don't
the
think it's from
book?
I don't think it's from the movie. I've seen the movie a few times now, but now that my daughter's 11, it's been about 6 years since I've seen the whole thing. I don't recall that being part of that movie. So I think it's from an episode of Pooh Corner where they actually made the swing for him, which I love that kind of continuity. Like even back then in this kind of show, it's kind of unheard of. So I really hope that that's true, but I'm not positive either.
Yeah, it seemed like it had because it sounds like the perfect plot for an episode, right? Like our
Exactly.
friend can't use this. Let's make it for him.
Let's make it for him, right?
Yeah.
Which is exactly something they would do. So yeah, he just hitches the swing onto him, and he makes it into a sleigh, and he's able to rescue Pooh and Rabbit and Piglet. And so I did like the special effect of Owl flying overhead while Eeyore's pulling the sleigh. It was definitely next level cheesy there, but I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I mean, it's pretty great. Yeah, I mean, it's no Christopher Reeve Superman, but
That's right.
he's
Yeah,
flapping his wings. He's doing his best to sell it.
that's right. It's not quite the Tron level graphics here, but and Owl, he was completely awed by Eeyore's imagination, and Eeyore basically saved Christmas. He was able to get all his friends over to Kanga's house so they could have their big Christmas Eve celebration. But even though everyone's there, poor Roo is still sad because he doesn't think Santa's going to be able to do it. And I did love how there's a little throwaway line about where Eeyore says, no donkeys. That Eeyore was such a good reindeer that, but Santa doesn't use donkeys or something.
Ooh, Santa Claus can go anywhere. We wise owls know that.
Yes, and he has a sleigh.
And 8 tiny reindeer.
But no donkeys.
It just made me think of Nestor, the long-eared Christmas donkey.
Oh yeah.
And his descendant, Spieltoe, is the one actually telling the story. So I think Santa might have some donkeys. I think there's hope for you yet, Eeyore.
Yeah, just have some faith. He'll call on you one of these days.
Exactly. Exactly. As they're getting ready, they hear something, and it's Eeyore that hears it. It sounds like sleigh bells. They run to the window, and lo and behold, he actually hears and sees Santa Claus. When they look back, of course, we get the nice little 80s sound effect.
Look.
And their stockings are now filled with toys. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. One thing I did want to mention, I was just remembering while they're waiting for everybody, to show up. At one point, like Kanga is hanging up all the stockings.
Oh, that's right.
On the fireplace, and then Tigger asks, he's like, "Do you have one for me?" And she's like, "Of course I do." And of course, it's tiger striped. Like everything is color coordinated to each cast member, each character. So that was just super fun to see.
Do you all do that like with your stockings, or are they all kind of the same?
Ours are a hodgepodge because
So
like
are
we'll
ours.
buy a bunch and then we lose them in some box, and then so we have like just whatever stocking we can find each year just gets filled, and the kids don't care. They're like, "Yay, Santa brought me more toys and candy!"
That's
Toothbrush, get out of here.
You got to have a toothbrush. Yeah. No, ours are also a hodgepodge, but I love Santa, so mine's a Santa. And then my wife loves snowman, so hers is a snowman. And then we kind of like alternate between like a Santa, a Rudolph, another snowman. I wanted to get like something completely different for my youngest daughter, but my wife was like, "Hey, but our oldest got a Santa like you. I need someone as well." So
the teams, okay, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Santa
So like
team snowman.
my poor son, his is a reindeer. It's like a Rudolph, and so he's like the odd man out. It's I know, poor guy. But our cat,
my wife can sew at least, so she has sewn a few for them over the years. Like
That's
I say,
cool.
like, can we find it this year?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we never know which box we put it in. We just bring them all inside and hope for the best. But yeah, so Everybody's excited. They have their presents now. Rue says it's the best Christmas ever. And this is where we get our third and final song. It's A Christmas Full of Love by Robin Frederick.
Christmas stockings filled with toys bring happy smiles to girls and boys.
But gifts with bows are just a part, for Christmas happens in your heart.
May you have a Christmas full of friends.
And this was a nice little sweet song as well. A little saccharine, I think, but it made complete sense for the special and for the whole show in general. But I did like seeing Tigger in an apron on that scene. Something about Tigger in an apron, just again, it just doesn't quite work. There's some kind of disconnect.
Yeah, it doesn't fit, that's for sure. Like anytime, because you're like, okay, Pooh is the only one who's supposed to be dressed, really. Like Piglet, I guess, is technically has a onesie on, but it's just like you only think about Pooh having a shirt, You're like, okay, he's dressed.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's got the whole Donald Duck vibe going,
Yeah.
where like, shouldn't he be wearing pants instead? But whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. Yeah, and so they say they wish that Santa Claus brings a Christmas full of love to all family and friends and everybody out in the world. And that's their only wish. So that kind of how it ends, with the narrator just bringing it all back together, wishing us Merry Christmas, and our whole cast singing, "We wish you a Merry Christmas."
And now, like my other friends at Pooh Corner, I'd like to wish you the happiest holiday season ever. Bye-bye.
I love when they do that. The Sesame Street, does that on their album. We have the Muppets and John Denver doing it. I mean, just anytime they can sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," it's something about it. It's just, that's like the perfect way to end any kind of special,
Yeah, it's the ultimate group song, right? It's
exactly.
Just
yeah.
together, you pan across all the characters, everybody you love, and they're singing it to you, so it just warms your heart. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It's the culmination of it all. But that's the special. I really enjoyed this one. I think I'm gonna be watching it like every year now. It's just this, I got the warm fuzzies from it. It's just inviting. It was very nostalgic, and I thought it was super Christmassy, and I highly recommend it to everyone out there.
Yeah, it's one of those stories that I feel like has aged well, from like an 80s Christmas special. There's nothing awkward about it. There's nothing cynical about it, even, that you could point out and be like, oh, well, what? Like, you can't make fun of it, really. Like, it's a sweet, sweet story, and it makes you, feel so good about the season when you walk away. So it's like, okay, this is how you should feel,
Exactly.
And including everybody, loving everybody, it's great.
I agree 1,000,000%. Yeah, this special was just fun. The whole show in general, I remember being very sad when it stopped airing, because just like you, this was one of the ones I looked forward to. I remember they would show this one, and they would show Dumbo Circus in the mornings, and so I'd watch it while I was getting ready for school.
Back to back, right? I think they were just like together. And I was wondering, you talked about that Lost Christmas special episode. I'm like, was that a crossover with Dumbo Circus? Did we finally get our present, what we all wanted?
That would have been awesome. I would have loved that. That would have been amazing. Just because I'm super into like world building. I mean, I'm a comic book geek, so anytime there's like heroes meeting heroes, it's like a whole thing.
Circuses are on the move. They could have come into the 100-acre wood.
Exactly. Yeah. Super. And would they have gotten scared because he's a heffalump? I don't know, but
wow, that would have been the perfect, like little twist, kind of like that Pee-wee's Playhouse episode with the monster. Remember the one-eyed monster? It would have been perfect. They would have thought that Dumbo was a monster. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been great. But I do gotta ask. So, what would you say would be your happiest memory or moment with either this special in particular, or just Welcome to Pooh Corner in general?
I just have to, the thing that made me like zeroing in on this special was, as soon as Eeyore has his idea for how to help, and then Owl like confirms that it's a great idea. Like just the joy that he has, the pep in his step that he can finally do something. Like it's what you've been waiting for. And he's just like, and he starts talking positively, like after that point, like about, oh, I'm really good at this and I can do this. And you're just like, this is awesome. Eeyore, like, so it brought a smile to my face.
Well, and I think Owl even said, because Eeyore's down, he's like, it's probably not a good idea. And all my ideas are terrible. They never work out. And Owl even says, well, just tell me and I'll tell you how I can make it better or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oof, Owl, you're not pulling your punches there. But yeah, that was a great moment. With this the special in particular, I really loved, of course, the end where they're all singing. But when they're trimming the tree, I think that was just something special. There really is just a magic that just kind of permeates everything when you're trimming a tree. You know, you got your music going. If there might be hot chocolate or some goodies, there might be something baking or a candle lid, but it just, you know, really gets you in that mood. And even just watching it here, watching them do it, it really made me want to put my tree up already. And it just, I'm ready. Like, let's get to it. Let's do it because I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we were out at Hobby Lobby today buying some Christmas ornaments. So we're getting in the spirit, definitely.
Nice. I saw some bluey ones at Hobby Lobby. I'm probably going to have to buy for my kids. So
yeah, we didn't see those. I'll have to keep an eye out. Yeah.
yeah, they were there, and I thought, oh man, I got to snatch those up. And then I don't remember why I didn't, but now it's like I hope they're still there because I know my kids will love them.
Yeah.
But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of the episode. Maybe not necessarily something we hate, just something we like less than the rest. Now, as a guest, I'll let you go first. Just kind of set up the scene for us and we'll let it fly.
Yeah, so this is when Piglet realizes that he's snowed in. And so Piglet is stuck there. The door flies open. The snow is there. And basically Piglet is saying, there's only one. There's this voice, you know, it's just like, there's only one thing to do. Like the sound, the volume, if you put that on a continuous loop, it could be a wartime torture technique. It's terrible. And that was the one thing that took me out. I was like, oh, Piglet, tone it down.
Forget waterboarding. Or what was it in Andor when they were playing like that? They had the songs of like the death.
Well, yeah, there was an episode of the Drew Carey show, I remember, where they were trying to get him to come out of his house and Mimi was helping the police or something, and they played Panama by Van Halen on a loop like, super high volume, and eventually he's just in there rocking out, you know. That's what it made me think of. Yeah.
Nice. That was good. So I actually picked from the caroling scene. And everyone has just told Eeyore that, like, hey, you're not singing the right song. And so he's like super down. He's leaving. And I'm going to try to do my best Eeyore here, but it's not very good. And he says, I can't even sing with my friends and get it right. Guess I'll just go home.
Breaks your heart.
I just felt so bad for him. That's why it's my least favorite. Like, oh, this guy. Like, all you were doing was spicing it up, man. It's okay. It's called improv. But I felt so bad for him, yeah. You know, though, G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you think the other half is?
Obviously, it's knowing how to dip popcorn balls in honey without hands. That's a skill you've got to learn. You want to win that battle.
That's true. That's a good one. It's better than mine. I just thought it was singing the right lyrics to the Christmas Carol.
Apparently around Pooh Corner, they are sticklers. You gotta get
That's right. Yeah. Don't go off book. There's no improv there.
Yeah.
Adam, it's been so much fun talking about this special Pooh Corner with you, but tell me about all your shows or anything else you have. You have a lot of stuff and they're all fantastic. And, you know, tell our listeners about it.
Well, I will just plug just to start my newest show, because you might consider this maybe a little bit obscure. You know, most people have some inkling maybe that Welcome to Pooh Corner existed, but I have a new podcast I just launched with my friend and co-host William Bruce West on the Retro Network. It's called Remember That Show? And basically the idea is that we cover obscure or forgotten television series from the 80s and 90s. And This is like, you know, just like William Bruce West especially just knows about these strange shows that you're like, oh wait, so that aired for like 2 episodes on ABC in 1991 and then just disappeared or whatever, it was a summer replacement show or whatever. So we just get into all stuff like our first episode was The Critic. We're going to be talking about this tween soap opera that was called Swan's Crossing.
Ooh, nice.
And then like a weird TGIF show called Baby Talk, if anybody remembers that.
I don't remember that
George Clooney, and then he was replaced by Scott Baio. Like there's all sorts of stuff like that. We're
talk about a step down.
I know, it's very, very odd. So, but like that's the premise of the show is we get in there, we talk about the history and we get into it, but also it's kind of a filter through our own TV obsessions. So we spend a lot of time talking about like, why didn't TV matter to us so much? Should it matter to us that much? And then at the end of the episode, we actually say, well, the show got canceled or people don't remember it. How would we fix it? How would we change it to make it?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
That's how we wrap it up.
It reminds me, I actually, in Halloween, I just did an episode on Free Spirit. Remember that one?
Ooh, I don't even think I know about that one. What was
with
that?
Corinne Bohrer, from Police Academy 4. She was a witch. She's a good witch that gets accidentally summoned by like a little boy. Kind of weird. It's like Bewitched meets Who's the Boss. So his parents just got divorced. And so the dad has the kids. They move from like New York to Connecticut. And to kind of help them cope, the boy accidentally summons this witch who ends up being hired as their housekeeper. And it's fun. It's a fun show. It lasted a season.
Awesome.
It was like, I think ranked as like the worst show on television at the time, but that would be a good one.
There was one with Eric Idle, which was a similar thing where he was a ghost that lived in the house and this family moves into the house where he died or whatever. Yeah.
I remember that one. I don't remember what it's called though, but I do remember that. Yeah. That was a lot of weird shows.
For Halloween, we were thinking about doing Little Dracula, if you remember that cartoon from the 90s. Most people don't. They're like, wait, oh yeah, Little Dracula. Even on the episode, William Bruce West was like, I totally forgot that existed. So I was like, we got to do it then. So that's the idea behind it. Now, on the Disney side, like I said, because there's probably a lot of people who are Disney fans listening to this, checked out this episode because it's Disney. Like I said, the Two Goofs podcast, we are doing new episodes infrequently. We have other costumed characters who worked at various Disney parks that are coming on for interviews. So we're doing that. So if you're interested, but the first, 11 episodes or so are all about our personal experiences. And then now we're getting other people's. Other than that, you can find most of what I do on the Retro Network. But if you're interested in 90s comics anyway, I know Jerry is. We're going to have Jerry on getting closer to December. 'Tis the season on Wizards, the podcast guide to comics, where we cover each issue of Wizard magazine in depth. Plus we interview, Wizard staff members and 90s comic book creators who were featured in Wizard and all sorts of other fun bonuses. So that's a weekly podcast that we do. We have, full episodes, half episodes, bonus episodes. We got them all. So that's, if you're interested in that, you can definitely find us all on the retronetwork.com, our home for so many wonderful nostalgic programs, especially podcasts.
I love the Retro Network. There's just so much fun stuff there. It's fantastic. Yeah. And Wizards is great. I wish I could have been on like to talk the Age of Apocalypse or something. I mean, that was like, I think my ultimate alternate universe crossover. That was huge. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to talk anything comics. I'll talk comics all day long. So
I'm sure. I've heard your episodes on here covering so many great comics issues too. So, but we'll hopefully have you on. Even we have an X-Men special coming up, and I know you're a fan. So
I do love the X-Men. Yes,
yeah, we'll have to talk about that. But thanks again for having me on because this was so much fun.
It sure was, and thanks for being on. But definitely go check out all those shows. Check out his writings as well. On the Retro Network, you won't be disappointed. I promise. But on that note, I'll end it by saying thanks again. And we're all together for Christmas. That's the nicest thing. So check us out on our social media pages, which you can find at linktree.com/totallyradchristmas. And if you're feeling like Rue having the best Christmas ever, leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us reach more people and spread some rad holiday cheer. Now, don't forget to check out our merch shop on TeePublic and our super dope website, totallyradchristmas.com. Like my other friends in Pooh Corner, I'd like to wish you the happiest holiday season ever. Later, dudes.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.